Oh goodness, I apologize for that quick cut to commercial break. We think the ghost got me in the throat, tickling me in the throat tonight. Allen Sircy is our guest, talking about ghost stories and the many books he's written. 2 recently out in Nashville. We haven't even talked about the Ryman yet. That place has so many great stories that is. So much history. There have to be some ghost stories. Yeah,
they say Hank Williams, they kicked him out of the Opry, and they say that he goes back to the Ryman. Ooh. They see him at the Ryman, they hear him walking around. Supposedly he walks around the alley between Tootsie's and the Ryman. I had a girl who works there tell me they hear little girls giggling at night. It's weird things happen there.
And you were saying Gaylord too, Opryland. Oh yeah,
Opryland. I wrote a whole book about it. I mean, that was my childhood. I love that part. The story goes, one of the last of the McGavick family, Miss Mary Louise McGavick, when she passed away, she had no children, so she willed her property there by the river to the church to be used for an orphanage or a hospital. Her body wasn't even cold, and they sold it to WSM to make a theme park.
Right.
So once that park gets opened in 1972, they started seeing a lady floating around the park at night.
Oh.
There's a story where this guy was working, and this old woman came up to him like 10 o'clock at night. It's like, sir, what time is it? Or what year is it? And he's saying, oh, this is a prank. And he goes to think of something silly to say back to her, and she's gone. But they say they saw her in gazebos. She'd be around the park. I worked at the hotel back in, I think, 95. And I heard stories about, oh, so-and-so saw the old lady tonight. And I heard the stories about the old lady, but I didn't really think nothing of it. I was just a kid. But these books, the old lady was Miss Mary Louise McGavick. They saw her at the hotel. They see her now at the mall. All those shops over there, Music Valley Drive, they're haunted too. It's nuts.
That is crazy. You were also telling me there are some great stories about the LNC Tower.
Oh, it's a really sad story. I think it was 1995. There was a lady from Kentucky. She was recently divorced. Well, she comes to Nashville. She goes to the top floor where the observation deck is. It's closed now. And she has to take a tour of the observation deck. They took her up there. She walked around, stayed for a long time, and then came back and left. Next day she comes back. Hey, can I go to the observation deck again? Weren't you here yesterday? Yes. Okay, come on back. So she goes, and the story is that she climbed over and leapt her death. Some say she climbed over and slipped and fell. Either way, she fell 300-something feet to her death. And now they say that the elevator at the LNC Tower, it randomly goes to the 30th floor occasionally, just not even called, and the door is open like it's waiting for her to come back.
Oh.
And they say they've seen a lady in the building at night. It's weird stuff like that. But it's an awful sad story, but there's a ghost story too.
Okay, I'm getting you to kind of ramble these off because our time is short. You said the arcade downtown.
Yeah, there's 2 stories about the arcade. There was a guy named Ray Job. He was the like the maintenance guy. He lived in like his dungeon apartment in the bowels of the building, but he took care of the building at night. Well, when he died, I think he was in his 70s or 80s, they called him Arcade Ray. That was his name. Well, when he died, a few days later, started seeing him around the arcade. They started smelling cigars, where he'd smoke cigars in the afternoon. And there's a hair salon where a lady was killed in a car wreck. He used to own the salon. Well, weird things happen up in the hair salon now. And they've seen a woman floating around and dressed in white up there in that building.
That's in the Belmont Mansion?
Yeah, Belmont, it's kind of like Traveler's Rest. They won't talk about it. But I've heard stories. Actually, I cornered somebody who worked there. I said, look, I keep hearing all these stories about Belmont being haunted. He said, look, man. He said, the thing is, there's 2,000 kids next door. On a Friday night, they get bored. I don't want them trying to break in to catch a ghost.
True.
So I get it, man.
Yeah, exactly. So where can people find your books and read more for themselves?
Amazon.com. Barnes & Noble has different stores have different books. BarnesandNoble.com will have them all in there. SouthernGhostStories.com will have them, and just Books a Million has a few, I think, also.
What are you interested in that you haven't covered yet?
Well, I mean, non-ghost stories. My grandfather was on the USS Bunker Hill as a 19-year-old kid when he about 2 kamikaze bombers, and I have his diary. So I'm looking at doing something with that one day.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Do you have a favorite ghost story book you've written?
It's like, which kid's your favorite? It's hard to pick. I mean, downtown Nashville, but then again, Murfreesboro had 3 Civil War battles, and it's just. I published Murfreesboro in 2020 when all the virus stuff happened. And in 2019, the Gallatin book did really well. Murfreesboro hit, and it kind of just, I did okay. And so Murfreesboro is kind of like my neglected child. Like it should have been, Tom Brady, but instead it was the Water Boy. Murfreesboro has so much history there, and everywhere is haunted in Murfreesboro.
Maybe they're all just used to the ghosts hanging around.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
There's so many of them. So now you're talking about your downtown one and your west one. You said is South Nashville next?
South Nashville came out in August. Yeah, West Nashville will be out in the spring.
Okay. And then when are you going to hit the east?
East Nashville, actually, of all the 5 areas, East, I have the least amount of stories.
Really?
I've got a bunch for North Nashville, but maybe a couple for East Nashville.
Huh, I wonder why that is.
So help me out if you guys know some, and drop me a line.
All right. Hey, it's been a pleasure to get to know you and hear more about these stories. I just love it. Super appreciate it. We're going to take tomorrow night off of OpenLine, but we will be busy with election coverage. So we hope you'll join us right here from 7 to 9. The whole team's in to bring you the latest results and, of course, our in-depth analysis with our commentator. So join us for that. And then Ask the Attorneys coming up on Thursday. But up next, it's sports, talking about the Titans. Have a good one.